fuck up. It's time to talk business. Jared Taylor, Matt Best, and Evan Hafer proudly present Blackhearted. Sponsored by BlackRifle Coffee Company and Arson Wave.
I can't believe I'm stuck with you right now. Oh, wait.
Hey.
No, you're getting tapped out.
Fat mouth.
We're switching Baker out for Evan.
Seats taken.
Seat is taken. Move along, motherfucker. There you are. Well, hello.
Well, hello, JT. Who do we have? Who do we have?
Isn't this exciting? Isn't this a treat?
It's very exciting, but I've got no idea why I'm here. I don't want to ruin the magic of what's going on here, but we saw two really intellectual people, and I'm like, why? Why the weird Australian?
Oh, yeah.
I've got Evan looking at me going,
No, I love it, man. I love British people. I fucking love them.
hey, at least it wasn't New Zealand.
So we have Mr. Jonathan Wegner and Dave Pavliche.
Oh.
Two of my good friends, longtime friends too.
Really?
I mean, we're going on like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
Four-ish. Yeah.
Four-ish. And John, I'll let you do your intro first, and then we'll jump over to Dave, and then today we're going to talk about brand rejuvenation.
Resuscitation.
What was resuscitation? What happens when something goes horribly bad? Go ahead, John.
Okay, well, I'll try and keep it short. I tend to ramble a bit, so just give me the eye.
You're fine.
Yeah, I'm already
You're
doing
fine.
it. Yeah, see?
Yeah.
So right now I'm doing consulting. I consult in brand strategy, design strategy, that kind of stuff, marketing. It's difficult to really define it specifically what I do, except for worn a lot of hats in the about 15, 16 years that I've been working. So right now working with consumer electronics brands, but in the past I've worked with defense companies. I was with Raytheon for some time. Owned a little AR accessory brand. Lots of businesses that went tits up. That's Australian for bankrupt.
Yeah,
lots of really interesting lessons there. So that's my very, very brief history.
So that's, small electronics brands. Like, is it?
That I may have worked with.
Yeah.
So there's this little company that makes phone cases called LifeProof.
Oh, just that little one.
It's just a tiny one.
Just a tiny little guy.
that we started and then got bought out several years ago from, and then worked with the purchaser, which was Otterbox, up until March of last year, and since then rolled off and just working with lots of other little companies right now.
And now you're working in a venture capitalist kind of club type thing, aren't you?
Yeah, it's kind of like a turnkey for early to medium businesses.
Yeah.
So coming
Someone
in
that has a good idea, and you guys know how to actually execute.
Yeah. So really trying to find out what their why is and extrapolating that, and so aligning the entire business so that they have a really solid platform going forward. So everyone knows why the hell they're there, as opposed to you see a lot of young businesses trying to create a business, but everyone's pulling in their own direction, or they all feel like they know why they're there until they start to get serious money, and then they start to bring in serious resources, and then you start to see these little offshoots and siloing, as they like to call it. And that's where things start to get a little weird. And so that's where we come in and try to, get everyone
Get them back on the rails.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, Dave, what do we got from you?
What do we have from me? That's a really hard act to follow when you've got a guy who's like, I started a little company called LifeProof.
You. Dave's
Yeah.
always flirting that way.
Seriously, I shouldn't be able to bring this guy the coffee we're drinking right now, but which is delicious, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah.
What sort of coffee is it?
BlackRifle coffee.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Sniper's Hide.
We're really big on Yahoo.
I thought it was MySpace. But
AOL. It's the next best thing, guys. You just open it up, get your email.
Like you said, we go way back. I knew you when I was still in SF, and I started a company with another SF guy who shall remain unnamed.
Security forces, Air Force security forces.
Army security forces. No,
And
I was.
I know you because someone my wife grew up with.
Seriously?
Yeah, because he had knew them starting a gun company. He goes, oh, and, this girl I grew up with, her husband is doing photography and shit like that. You guys should hang out. And here we are, 4 years later.
Small world, and but no. So we started this company and called Arsenal Democracy, which is now I guess kind of infamous. But we at the time, I think we're talking over 3 years ago, doing a hyper accurate kind of niche Cerakote rifle. I guess was a little less commonplace than it is now. And so we started that up, and we had I think a lot of our success really was from you. It goes back to you, JT, because we.
Thank you.
Ooh. So because you did the first poster for that rifle that we did, and we went from what was it, like 1,000 followers to
16.
to 16,000.
Yeah, I remember that the first week.
And we could win the first week. Yeah, and doing $250,000 in sales in a matter of a couple weeks. And I guess when you talking about business, when you grow that fast, how you handle it is kind of the measure of what you are as a business and how much time and effort you're able to put into it. Unfortunately, I was still in the Army, in the employ of the Army, so I wasn't able to keep as close an eye as my partner on it. And so things have kind of gone from one level to another, and now we're back. I've kind of resuscitated that brand, which is kind of the subject of what we were talking about, and we're still kind of doing the brand AD, but under my new company, which is New Defion, which is kind of an SF phrase, New Defion LLC, and trying to bring it to back.
Yeah, that's it. And some of you, if you follow us on Instagram and stuff like that, you recently saw that rifle that has the BlackRifle coffee logo on it. Dave made that masterpiece. I love the Cerakote.
Engraved.
It's so good. But yeah, so we'll go with you. We'll shift back over to Jonathan.
Okay.
And far more interesting.
No, not at all.
And so yeah, what is this journey that you're going to take us on, in how you powered through having to, I'm sure after the sell, because you worked there for how many years after you guys sold?
So post LifeProof sales, about 2 years, they wanted, meaning Otterbox, wanted some of the magic of creating a brand that has a lot of meaning beyond, just selling the staple proposition of phone protection. So worked with the leadership team there, redeveloped the product roadmap, really tried to define the reason of why behind a lot of the product. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Simon Sinek's work. It's a short TED talk. It's pretty cool. Really dives deep into defining why a product exists, and by doing that, you tap into a far baser emotion with customers, and by doing that also you align the entire organization so they're pulling towards the penultimate goal. It also allows you to pivot a lot quicker rather than investing all your time and energy into a product, which is the kind of the deliverable. So anyway,
Rewinding back just a little
yeah.
bit, and correct me if this is
sure.
wrong at all, but you guys
You're
had
never wrong.
rounded 2013.
Yeah.
You'd done over $300 million in sales, and Otterbox smacked you with jealousy and like 30 some odd lawsuits about claiming you were the only fully waterproof case, correct? And you and your partners just showed up on their doorstep like, hey, cut the crap by us.
Well, I can't really talk about that, but it was a really a big runaway success where we had an aim point where we built the company up to sell it, and our aim point was about 100 mil, and we surpassed that very quickly, and we were at a point where we're like, holy shit, who's going to buy us? Because obviously once you grow out of control beyond that price band, the number of people that can actually purchase you shrinks. So we had a consortium looking at us. We had several other brands, and I was talking to the founder, Gary Rayner, one evening in my office, and it it was kind of my baby. It was everyone's baby, but I felt that there was the roadmap for me about 2 years beyond the sale. Thankfully, I got to execute on that. But Otterbox is one of those companies that was potentially going to buy us. So I said, I think it's going to be the best fit for us to enable us to do some cool stuff. And I'm all about making cool stuff.
Yeah. And you stuck around as the brand guide, essentially, to make sure that you gave them the toy and they weren't just going to smash it.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have to, but I wanted to see it through. And I got to a point about a year and a bit ago, just before I rolled off, and I felt that I achieved that goal. So I was really glad to stick around. And, after that time where I rolled off, a lot of my team has now followed, and we get to do really cool stuff again. So it's really rewarding being able to work with a team that you get a shorthand. I mean, it's like, I'm making complete assumptions because, I'm not a vet or anything like that. But when you work closely with a team, you get to know them, you get to understand how they move, how they operate. And I feel very much the same with my guys. And to that, actually, there's a couple of vets that I work with. And I have to say that they're the most driven guys. I just love how they're no bullshit. They're to the point. I can have a really honest conversation with them. And they're just really, really driven.
Where are you based out of now?
I'm still based in Fort Collins,
right.
in Colorado. I fly a lot, much to my wife's, I know quite the right term that actually best describes her hate of me not being around. She's pregnant at the moment.
Nice.
So
Congratulations.
yeah, thanks. So, Fort Collins, but I'm consulting with quite a few companies around the US, in Denver, and a lot in Southern California, talking about some companies in Vancouver, that kind of thing. So, it's getting to be a bit challenging where you have to start to be very picky with who you work with. But, I guess that's the punishment for
Your current baby, are you allowed to talk about that?
Sorry, say that again.
Your current baby, the robotics. Working
the
with
baby.
some stuff in robotics.
Sure. So, talking about brand resuscitation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice. great bridge. So, the first company that, the big company that I've worked with post LifeProof Otterbox is a company called Robo3D. So they made it big back in 2013 with a Kickstarter. Two smart guys from, I'm going to get this wrong, San Diego University or Southern California or something like that. There's so many down there. I can't keep track. But two smart guys, they wanted a 3D printer that would do a lot of stuff that a lot of the more expensive ones could do, but they didn't want to pay for it. So, of course, they went and built it. So out of their garage, they ran this Kickstarter, exceeded their goal by 3-4 times or whatever it was. And lo and behold, now they have this company. So, 2 years into it, they not sure what to do with it. So they bring in the group that I work for right now and ask us to have a look at, what's next. So, I don't want to be too mean, but their brand looked very much like Silicon Prairie. If you guys are familiar with that term. So, back in the 80s, had a lot of startups in Texas, and they had a very specific aesthetic. So, these guys have had this desire to
cool
go,
product.
Yeah.
But
well,
just...
Well, it kind of looks like a Singer sewing machine. But people love it because it's reliable. It's got all these great features that you can get at a price point that's much less than the competition. So, and what we did is, they have this desire or had this desire to go public. So we looked at the entire offering of what they had, and were able to work with them to lay the foundations for them to be able to do that.
That's awesome.
So the pivot for them was, they were young, enthusiastic. They wanted to move very fast. And unfortunately, they got ahead of themselves and had to backtrack to be able to recreate that foundation and reposition themselves in a certain light. So,
how did they get ahead of themselves? Like, what explain to that?
So, they wanted to do too much too quickly without thinking about where they were going to go to next. They knew the end goal, but they weren't quite sure where to get there, and were just racing ahead without laying the foundation. to get there.
So is it both kind of an expense in, I guess, bandwidth or intellectual capital and diversifying your projects, and then also just money? Basically, you're kind of pushing out money in several different projects, and then the intent.
Yeah.
So instead of focusing, is that really kind of, am I hitting it or? Okay.
Yeah, you are. So the way that I describe it when I work with people is every single action matters in your business. So everything is an investment, be it capital, time spent on different projects, all that kind of stuff. So every time you actually do something, you're going in a certain direction.
Right.
So when you align the company and you know the goal is, say, up here, everything that the company's doing, everyone can measure whether or not what they're doing is actually going towards that target.
Right.
When everyone's doing their own thing, they're going to build all these platforms up in different directions. And once you've invested all this time and capital into doing these things, and 3 years later, someone like me comes in, or a group like me comes in and go, hey, what do you actually want to do? We sit down, we decide what their reason for being is. And it kind of feels a bit like wasted effort, even if it has created somewhat of a foundation. So for them, it was trying to consolidate, their reason for being, and then trying to pull everyone together to go towards that penultimate goal.
No, it's really interesting. I see that a lot, even within the confines of our business, where you have people that want to pull the business, like the good idea fairy, right? And we always talk about the good idea fairy. And if you have really good entrepreneurs, they're constantly thinking of all the shit that you should be doing. That's like, oh man, we could do these fucking 10 amazing things, and I had this conversation with the chief operating officer of BlackRifle Coffee last week, which is, you are so incredibly good at spending our money, and I love you to death, but we're not going to do 9 out of the 10 things that you just talked about. But the one, I really want you to be happy with that one thing that I gave you. Yeah. And if I wasn't careful, and I realized it, I guess last month, which was, if I wasn't careful at actually managing really good, hyper intellectual people that can just, like, they can think of a million fucking amazing things for you to do. If I wasn't really good at just saying, no, dude, this is the one that you're going to concentrate. Just give me 30 days on this. Just like, here's your phase line. Like, give me 30 days, and then come back and we can talk about 5 of those other things that you talked about. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Like,
Dave and I were talking about something similar earlier on today, where I go to CES every year, so that was 2 weeks ago, and just walking the floor, it's just heartbreaking seeing how much investment is going into stuff that's going to go nowhere.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
It boggles my mind.
Both of you, give us an insight on this convo you had today.
Yeah. I talked about the very obvious, my microphone deal. I'm just not used to having things this close to my mouth.
Just get used to it.
But embrace the Muppet dick. Yeah. But I was talking about how the similarities between CES and SHOT, where you occasionally you do see some things that are
innovative,
new. Really cool ideas. They're based in reality, based on utility.
I gave up the day one when, as soon as I walked in, I saw a booth completely dedicated to ear protection that was rhinestoned, and I was just like, "Fuck it, I'm going home."
I thought you were going to say Stormtroopers, because that was a real booth too.
Right.
And you were like, "This is a couple years ago," but and I think I even mentioned it to you when I ran into you. I was like, "This feels a lot more like Comic-Con than it does an industry expo where people are supposed to share ideas on making something better for this industry." And I guess CES had a lot of very similar issues, where you saw a lot of things that not just aesthetically but technologically were rehashed or rebranded or repackaged.
Are we just talking about the AR? Because I'll tell you what, if I see another AR that's exactly like the one in the next booth, it's exactly like the one that's all over the fucking rest of the booths.
It's not well.
It's not just that.
It's not just that.
Right.
I had a conversation with. I mean, I can go into a whole tangent, but painting the gun to look like the Nintendo gun, or making the Cerakoted thing, whatever else. A joke between myself and a couple other folks is the battle worn thing. That's like,
what's that? What do you?
The battle worn Cerakote. So that was something So that was literally something we did like 3 years ago, and it's like the Von Dutch trucker hat. I regret doing that. I regret starting off with that and it going to where it is. I didn't. I'm sorry, community. But no, it's a lot of those things where you see stuff that's just not. I don't know. I when I went into a thing and it brought a lot of heat my way when I went on like Facebook and I said stuff about how we don't take firearms as seriously anymore. I take them deadly serious. That's why I test fire every single gun myself most of the time. I'll stop doing what I'm doing. But we got guns going out. Hold on.
Well, you know what's impressive too is like you came into this and you had to learn a lot of this shit. Machining. You learned machining in under a year.
Well, I mean, it's the design stuff was easy. The machining stuff, I mean, I know what I need to know. The stuff that I don't know, or the complex CAD stuff, is stuff that I'll have people do. And that's something that now that we have a board and some of these guys are hyper successful guys that deal in companies that are in the hundreds of millions. And these are guys who are like, yeah, you don't need to go to school for 5 years to master NC programming. You are the guy who actually designed this thing, you drew this thing out, whatever else. We'll get a guy out of school who can do that because those guys like that are a dime a dozen. They can't improvise the actual design. What you see in your head, we can't replicate that. And that's, again, it goes back to use of your time. So is it worth dedicating 3 years of my life to master something that I could dictate to somebody? Probably not, right? Mm-hmm. So it'd be better to be the guy who can talk about the actual design and actually get it out than sit there and do all the minutia of everything else. Mm-hmm. It's like, do you make everything in your gun? Well, I mean, to a degree. I don't make the springs, right? But I guess I could, but why?
Right.
It's as long as it's to my specification, then what am I? Does that rob people of the originality of everything in house? No, of course not. Yeah. But going back to CES, I mean, you saw maybe 4 items that captured your attention that showed real innovation, real inspiration.
And one of them was a breast pump.
And it was a cool looking breast pump.
Seriously, like everything felt very commoditized. And walking through SHOT Show and the whole AR thing, it's like, where's the due diligence behind, investigating whether this is going to make money? Like, is it, I've got a great idea, let's get some capital and let's go execute this, and it's just wasting everyone's time. Like, within 6 months they're shuttered, or, they're living under a bridge. Like, it boggles my mind. And to Dave's point of like, aren't we here together to make each other better? Like, I'm not seeing a lot of, at least I don't feel that I'm seeing a lot of collaboration. Like, I think this podcast is probably the one example that I've seen at SHOT of, collaboration of, people getting together to actually share thoughts, try and lift each other up. Otherwise, it's just kind of, same old.
A gab fest with the same people that show up every year.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I come every year is to get people together. So, I was kind of joking to someone today that the only reason I'm here today, I'm just in for 12 hours today, is to connect different groups that I think are going to make each other better. That's it. I mean, I get no personal benefit out of it. I just have the joy of seeing some cool shit, come to life.
Last year, Jonathan was here for 4 hours, and one of those hours he spent getting me a life-proof case, which I then broke.
No, every time we catch up, Dave and I, we shake hands 3 times and goodbye, I'll see you later, and then we just dive into something else.
Yeah, we keep talking about some idea or one other, and we talked today about resources and how they're wasted on an idea that will never go anywhere, in CES, and you see it in SHOT too.
Mm. But going back to one of the things you just mentioned, you see people going out on all these tangents, investing all this money or time into it. And, Dave and I spoke about, 15 ideas that he has that he would love to execute, at AD. And, credit where credit's due. He's focused on executing the stuff that's important right now. And all of it, the way that he was talking about it, I could clearly see a lot of parallels with what I do. It's, picking where you're going to put the investment into your business so that it creates that platform for you to get to that next step. And, some of the stuff he was talking about is 5 years, 10 years out. And, the conversation that we went into is how do you have that aim point and ensure that what you're doing today is actually going to, get you there. I mean, Apple does it very well. Every single Apple device is kind of like this little incremental step. But if you picked up a phone from 10 years ago, being the 10th anniversary, it would seem incredibly, basic and simple. But someone, fast forward 10 years, they'll be looking at what's this force touch stuff and whatever else. So it's all about preparing your audience for the next step, be it technologically or preparing your own business to be able to get to that point. You can't do everything at once.
And sometimes you gotta know when the industry has kind of jumped the shark on an idea too.
Reach this choke point.
Yeah, I mean, somebody asked me about, what about the PDW? Because we came up with a cool PDW idea 3 years ago. And now it's so proliferated and it's all over. This PDW buttstock.
I remember that.
Whatever else.
Yeah,
it
that
was
was
pretty
cool.
cool. It was
Yeah.
it was cool 3 years ago. Yeah. But now, someone asked me about it. I said, I'm not doing it.
That's your.
They're like, what do you mean?
That's your AD elitism. It's kind of like, we don't do that common shit.
It's it's not an elitism. It's resource triage.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sitting here and I'm going, I don't have the resources.
Something
to
that's saturated.
Sit there and chase something in a market that's saturated. It's not a. I can't go to my.
Just like our last guest talked about finding and filling the gaps.
Yeah, I'm not going to go to my board and sit there and go, I think we should dedicate $30,000, $50,000, $100,000 to something that is already saturated. Now, if it was I'm not going to say the idea, but a different kind of PDW.
Come on.
Come on, man.
Come on, you can trust us.
All right, sure.
It's
Whatever.
only us.
No, I'll say it. If it was a 308 PDW,
Yeah, there we go.
which you don't see,
Yeah.
coming soon from a stormtrooper booth near you. Now it's out. Another idea gone. But no, something like that, which is again a little niche, but it's not something you see. And I talked about spring technology that I saw that I've never seen before. That was it looked like it was 3-4 years ahead. We could use something like that to incorporate it in that kind of idea. That is something cool because it's not something that's done. And I'm kind of I always say it, I'm a contrarian. If everyone's walking around and doing X, I'm going to do Y. If everyone's doing Battle War now, I make black guns now. Black's cool. Everyone wants to wear cargo pants.
Everybody wants to go to the cry party. We don't go to the cry party.
No, we just hang out in this living room talking to dudes.
Unfortunately,
we did.
we talk to dudes. No, Nick Betts from Crypto was making fun of me. He's like, "You dress like somebody's dad right now, like somebody's dad who'd kill you on Christmas when you're asleep."
I love it.
Nick's jealous. He can't pull it off.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, Nick's back there wearing a fucking flag hat. Who can he argue with?
He's caught in a time warp. I was there a long time ago.
Right.
He stepped out. He's going to be listening. And he's going to be like, what?
What the fuck?
But it goes back to it's the PDW is my Major League Infidel T-shirt.
Yeah.
You remember when we wore those when those were cool?
Yeah.
What was that, like 05? You remember that? And the American flag hat. I got pictures of the American flag hat. It was a long time ago. Then everyone started doing it. I don't want to do it anymore. Now operators are like, I'm clean shaven, dude. I'm clean shaven and I wear a collared shirt.
I never did, man. I met Matt Graham early in my career. I just started wearing fucking Birkenstocks and
Hawaiian shirts.
Hawaiian shirts.
That's the cool thing to do, though.
That's it, though, man.
Like, if you're a deadly motherfucker and you wear a Hawaiian shirt, that's cool.
Everybody always talk to me. They'd be like, "You look like you're gonna go work on a farm." It's like, I am.
But you
I
know
am
what,
good.
though?
when I leave this job, that's what I'm gonna do.
But you can,
farm.
and you do that because you're not trying to. You're not. Remember what's called from you guys who used to work with image projection.
Yeah.
Right. So it's you don't need to project an image because you did it. You really did it. We all did it.
Plus,
don't
I
need to
knew I
sit
could
there
just hand fools their ass on the range. So it's like I'm gonna do it in a Hawaiian shirt wearing Birkenstocks. It's gonna make it worse.
I'm gonna wear
psychologically.
Yeah.
I have destroyed people
I'm
just
in a
because
dress.
I wore a. This is a rabbit hole tangent.
Yeah,
I wore a yellow headband that I bought at Walmart, and this was like a selection vetting thing that I wasn't really that prepared for. I went and got the loudest, shittiest, stupidest shirt that I could get, which is a cover shirt and a yellow headband. And I went through, and when I showed up on the range, like all the instructors were like, "Man, this dude is a Fruit Loop," and I fucking worked that line like a broke pony. And not only that, but when I started taking their lunch money, just like I was a bully on the playground, and they're like, this dude is an asshole. And he's making me laugh while just stomping my guts into the dirt. And
What's
it was
new high
great,
score? Did I
'cause-
break it?
Yeah.
What's new high score?
Oh,
mean?
look at that! I fucking smoked you by what 0.15. God, that's disgusting. You weren't even close. That's like shooting for the moon and landing in the ocean. Fuck. And to just say that, that was like a pride of just stomping. Anyway, I don't know.
Yellow headband though.
That was a yellow
I like that.
headband.
I like that.
At the end of that, they were like, "Hey, do you want to come to work here?" And I was like, "Finally, yes, I do."
I thought you were gonna say, "Nah, I'm good."
No,
I'm gonna go work on the farm.
I shuck
I
oysters.
got a video game appointment down the road.
Yeah. No, the looky-loos, man. Like I called them combat tourists. Like you're just fucking hanging out. Like, why don't you get your camera out and take some pictures? Because it's a fun place to be.
I ran
If
into
you take
those-
it about that serious.
I ran-
If you
I
take
ran-
it about that fucking serious.
I ran
right?
into those guys in Afghanistan. Actually, they were coalition forces.
Oh yeah.
We were doing a range in front of a fire base in Darood, and these guys. I won't say what country they're from, but let's just say they sound like the bad guys from the first Die Hard.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
they were, I mean, they went out to the range and they
Do you
set
have
out, set out water bottles, and they were like, they looked like rednecks shooting teddy bears off of wrecked cars in their backyard. And we were like, what are you doing? And so we were trying to shoot, and they're like shooting up targets.
We're trying to get this G36 to work.
we started making fun of them because these guys started shooting videos. They were like, "Here, film me," and they were doing all these kind of cool guy moves, like walking down range while shooting. And this was combat tourism for them. They would do 2 months, 3 weeks of which ripping in, 3 weeks ripping out. So maybe 2 weeks of actual patrols, 1 week of this whatever range session you want to call this. and so we started ruining their videos. We'd be in the background like, "Hans, toss me another clip," and just
Come on, Hans.
totally ruining it. And I mean, we would never even share the range with them after that. There was one guy who got up on top of a Gurkha armored vehicle, and he was shooting the 240 Bravo from the hip, and he like tripped for a second and almost sprayed the whole line. And he went, "Oh, we're out of here. We're out of here." They were trying to take pictures. Is that the scar? And we're like, "I'm out of here, man. This is like these guys are taking pictures of this. They're gonna put
The
it on."
scar looks very
Thank
nice.
God there wasn't Instagram back then, or it would be Instagrammed.
I totally just released a squirrel at this table by doing that. I apologize. I apologize.
I never
fine.
said the country. I never
let's-
said the country. Let's just say it's Nordic in origin.
Nordic. Let's put
No,
this
no,
squirrel
no, that's
back in the
good.
cage.
No,
Sorry about that.
we've had some fun.
Yeah, we had a little fun. We're getting a little too serious.
We'll
I
get
suppose.
we'll get back to business.
Yeah.
As they
Get
say.
back to business.
Jonathan, lead us into some good closing remarks. Just because you have an accent.
Well, I didn't even get to talk about the
brand resuscitation.
the quagmire of brand resuscitation.
Oh, the quagmire. Yeah, please, let's
let's
hit
go
it,
into
man.
it.
Well, so I won't go into the full story because I know we're short on time, but I'll say that I had left the original company, as you know, and I left the company, and one of the guys on the board called me and went, "Hey man, what's up? Why'd you leave?" And I'm like, "Hey man, I'm not one to MF people, but I was like, hey, I'm just, I guess business is a little more gray and I'm a really black and white kind of guy, so I'm out, man. I've got my reputation and everything else with the community. I just, I wish you guys the best of luck." And he went, "Whoa, we need to go have lunch." And we met up and had lunch, and they were like, "How do we fix this? Because we don't even know what's going on. How do we fix this? Can you draw a plan?" And on a napkin, I drew a plan for how we fix this. And it was like, step 1, remove problem. Step 2,
Cut problem away.
Step 2, assess the damage. Step 3, take accountability for what the brand has done. And so we came in with a new co. That was one of the things that those guys were whisper about, and we got to get Newco on that. I was like, who's Newco? And Newco is the new company, and that was New Defion LLC, and I was like, is like a new brand? We're just gonna throw this away? This old brand was my baby. We did all this work. You and I did work to create this brand. We're just gonna cut it loose. I'm like, well, I mean, look, if it's dying on the table, then yeah, we got to cut it loose. And somehow we didn't need to do that. But as a new,
I think what you did was very creative. He
Well,
cut the logo in half.
Nice.
I did. I literally, I burned the wing. Someone was like,
it, yeah.
Why is the one half of the wing shut off?" I said, "Well, because I killed my partner." No, but you know, when you come on as a CEO and they're like, "What's your plan?" I go, "Well, I'm gonna need $250,000." They're like, "Okay, well, for what? Like some new product?" And like, well, no, we need to take care of all of the old customers that got burned by this, that are left holding the chair at this point. And they went, "What? You know, what does a P&L statement like that look like when your first quarter, you're like, Q1, we're going to take $250,000 loss because that's what it's going to take care of customers from the old company that paid money that we'll never see, has nothing to do with this company, whatever else." And you eat that. But at the end of the day, that's your customer acquisition cost. You want to sit there, what's a customer acquisition cost? It's the cost of a rifle times 100-ish. And I sat there and told them that, and they're like, "This is the craziest shit we've ever heard." Like, in a way, they were kind of like, "This is the craziest shit we've ever heard. We've dealt with no one's ever done anything like this." And I was like, "Well, it's either going to work or it's not going to work, but I'm not going to take a salary. I'm not going to take a salary. I will do X, Y, whatever else. Just pay my guy, whoever it's going to be. I just need one other guy. You give me one other guy. You pay his salary. We keep the lights on. We're going to buy everything else we need to do. We took inventory. We know how much inventory we have to build these rifles. I don't give a shit if we sell rifle 1. We need to take care of all these guys." And we did that. And the result was, we went from whatever, abysmal, I think it was like Instagram followers, like 6,000, last comments, "I hope you die," that kind of thing, to, 20,000 followers and like, "Hey, you guys are awesome. Hey, this is great. Whoa, these guys took care of me. Whoa, these guys actually give a shit." And so it was a tremendous leap of faith. And I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't know if it was going to work. I wish I could sit there and go, "I knew it was going to work, man." I had no idea it was going to work. It was gambling using just kind of instinct, but it was something that was like, "Hey, this is the moral right thing to do. It's the ethical thing to do." As an SF guy, it's what I would do on a team.
It sounds like they responded
immediately. And it did, and that's how you resuscitate a brand in that case. And this may only work in this situation. It worked in this situation, but stay true to yourself and don't try and sit there and go, "Well, I mean, the smart thing to do would be absolutely kill this brand, come home with a new company.
We're a new
and go,
company.
Whoa, I'm not that guy. I'm Frank. And this is a rifle that looks just like that other rifle, but we're not. We're the other SF
I'm
guys." Yeah, no, I'm Frank. No, he died. Dave, he died in a fire.
Just you in blackface. Just like that's not me. I'm
Exactly.
Lamont.
No, that's fascinating. I'm so glad to hear it. Now, where can they see your stuff? Instagram.
Yeah, I mean, Instagram is Arsenal_democracy, and then the Facebook, same thing, Arsenal Democracy, and then arsenaldemocracy.us for the website. I mean, we redid the website, and that's the brand basically. That's another crazy thing about Nuco is that you sit there and we bought the IP and the brand from ourselves. I guess that's, again, these guys are business masterminds 10 times over. I don't know P&L. I didn't know P&Ls before these guys really sat down and went, "This is how you do business." I realized, hey, like QuickBooks, you may think you know QuickBooks, but this is how you do QuickBooks. This is how you do this. And so, we went there, and now the brand Arsenal Democracy and arsenaldemocracy.us is part of the umbrella corp. That is that.
Oh, it's so glad to hear. I'm glad that's awesome that it worked.
Yeah.
And where can we find you? Plug your Instagram because it's interesting as shit.
Oh,
is it?
Yeah.
If I must.
It's Jonathan R. Wegner.
Jonathan R. Wagner.
With an E.
With an E. Wegner.
With an E.
Yeah.
With an A.
Yeah, it's just, you're going to see me in a plane.
Food,
taking photos.
planes, watches, cool stuff.
Yeah, just random stuff.
Yeah.
It's not as
But
interesting
you take
as
good.
you guys.
You take good photos, though.
Yeah. Otherwise, my wife yells at me. She like collects degrees and masters and all that kind of thing. And one of them is a photography degree. And so she gives me grief if it's not. She's like, "I don't like the way you frame that photo. Like, what's
They do
going on
take
there?"
amazing scenic photos.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, hey,
Yeah.
thank you, Jonathan,
Awesome.
for the time. I always
Thanks a lot,
treasure
guys.
the time I get to,
It's very rare. So,
yeah, we
very
get it
rare.
once a year.
But,
We'll randomly pass each
Yes.
other and then end up
But
with each other the rest of the
I'm
night.
so glad I was here to see your cornrows.
I can't even look at him.
You're mean.
I know. I'm sorry. I can't even look at you.
I'm doing this for a joke. I'm sacrificing.
Yeah, like 2 weeks early. He's doing it for a joke for 2 weeks.
You're
Practice
right.
run.
It is a
Yeah.
little.
Yeah.
It is a little
Right.
early.
Yeah.
Okay, I got
Awesome.
him because I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
All right, ladies
right.
and gentlemen, I'm here with Dave, Jonathan, Evan, and JT.
Black Rifle Coffee Company, along with Arson Wave, would like to thank you for tuning in to Blackhearted. Have a great fucking day.